Welcome to First Down by CoachTools, where you hear from successful coaches and the top minds in sports, with host Justin Tichenell. First Down is brought to you by CoachTools, the football player grading software that's better and faster. Today's episode is with Jeff Long. For more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe.
Justin, thanks for having me, man. It's an absolute pleasure.
Coach Long is the head football coach at Moravian College, and he's going into his third season upcoming this year. Before he was at Moravian, he was at John Carroll University, and before that, Wilkes College. So he has a pretty wide variety of colleges at the Division III level. To get things started, Coach, can you just share with the audience a little bit about your background and how you've ultimately got involved in your current role?
Yeah, so, obviously Division III, played Division III, coming out of high school, and had a, very formative experience playing at Muhlenberg College, and then got into teaching and coaching at the high school level. Coached a year at Emmaus High School, coached a year at Absegami High School back in Jersey while I was teaching and substituting and student teaching and all that good stuff. And then had an opportunity to jump in at Wilkes University, really start as an intern, worked the way up, and was blessed after a year, was promoted to full-time. I worked my tail off for a man by the name of Trey Brown, who's a dear friend and a mentor of mine, and was very blessed, fortunate. I think that's a big, I owe Trey a lot. Very fortunate because, some guys GA 4 or 5 years, they're not a full-time coach till they're about 35. You know what I mean? It's like crazy how fortunate I was. I was 24 years old and was a full-time college football coach. So learned a ton, right? And the biggest thing was just working hard. No job was too small, and just kept that attitude. After two years at Wilkes, then I got an opportunity to go to John Carroll. They were building the staff. They were coming off a Final Four run. Their staff had gotten a job at Tennessee Chattanooga, so the new head coach had given him a job. He was building a staff. He was coming from Division I. He came from Michigan, and had a bunch of coordinators who were Division I guys. He needed a D3 guy to do the landscape, and I had a great talk with him, about a 5-hour phone call, and then he offered me the job. So it was wild. Didn't know anybody, truly. We had met through mutual connections, and then made my way out there. And then 6 years later, had grown from position coach to assistant head coach to defensive coordinator. And then after the 22 season, Moravian called and asked if I was interested in interviewing. And I was excited because I'd known the area well, obviously playing at Muhlenberg, student teaching in the Valley. And it was an awesome experience to get back on campus, kind of went through that process. Now here we found a place that wants to win, and is committed to building it the right way, and have a great bunch of young men that are excited to keep building what we're doing here. So it was a lot of fun. It's great to be back year one in the area, and now building year two, as we head into the off season here, and, just taking it day by day, trying to, take the next step.
And I think I said it was going into year 3, but is it going into year 2?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we finished year one. Yes, sir. We finished year one. It's actually probably 2 weeks. In about 2 weeks, it'll be 1 year, 1 full year here. So
Okay.
That'll be the anniversary. I had it on my wife had it on the calendar. So February 1st. So a couple weeks here, that'll be the full 1 year out here in Bethlehem.
That's awesome. So, obviously starting out as a young position coach and kind of climbing the ranks pretty quickly, because I also saw you got the AFCA 35 under 35. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to somebody who's, just getting started and is looking to kind of follow that same career path that you already have accomplished?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, look, I was very fortunate to be around people who were interested in seeing me grow. I think that's important. You got to always be searching mentors who, whether you've played for them or worked for them. Like I'll give you an example. Coach Brown, right? Coach Brown hired me as an intern. And I've seen coaches, when you hire guys as an intern, they never, no matter how hard you work, see you other than an intern, right? Like you're always their GA.
Right.
Or you're always their guy, right? Their young guy. And Trey, even after a year, put a lot on my plate. Because I wanted to work at it, right? And ask questions and tried to help. But you got to surround yourself with people who are willing to say, if I bump this guy, can I still, is it like, is he ready? And
Right.
even if he isn't, okay, I'm willing to take a shot to see him develop, because you get labeled as, oh, this is my GA, this is my young guy, or and it's not on purpose. Like, I don't think it's anybody being evil, but it's just like you got to find yourself with people that are willing to say yes. Let's take the next step. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate with that. But you got to search that out. You know, and then same thing. Even when I left Trey to find when the John Carroll opportunity came up to me, I was really, really nervous that was this going to be the same thing, right? Would I be able to grow? And luckily it was, but I think a lot of that too, how you force that hand is no job is too small and do it well.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think that was the big thing with, at Wilkes when I was an intern. And then when I got to John Carroll was, okay, you need somebody to meet with admissions. Great. All right. I'm going to do this, this, and this. I'm going to keep people in the loop and always communicate and just say, hey, how do we find solutions? Not just kind of complain about, oh, this is what we don't have,
Yeah.
I learned at a young age coaching that, if you don't have your ducks in a row, like you don't have your thoughts in order, you don't have those things, you can help as much as you want. You're not a help anymore. Now you're hurt. Right. So just being willing to do those little things, surrounding yourself with people who would want to see you grow, and then being organized, and it took me a while. I was, in college, I was probably a little all over the place early in my career in terms of like notes and do what I'm doing in school. But then towards the end, found my rhythm, and now it applies to today, how I'm able to keep my thoughts organized. So
yeah, for sure.
I would say those things, and and then just loving ball, man. That was the big thing. I'm very blessed now. I got a family, still love ball to this day and spend all the time. But when I was a young coach, I, lived in the office, and when I had free time, I was watching film, or if I had free time, I was doing recruiting work. So you kind of surrender yourself to it and surround yourself with the right people, then good things can happen.
And I think going off of that point, one of the things that I was actually just doing an interview with Joe Adam, who's at St. Anselm College, and he was talking about not only staying organized, but just having that like blue collar mentality where not only are you staying organized and like having that proper mindset, but one of the things that he said was FILO, and it means first in, last out. And just like, I mean, it sounds like you've lived that. So
yeah, it's funny. People ask me that, even at the 35 under 35, they kind of just ask like, how'd you get here? You know what I mean? And especially with us, right? Like small school guys, you being a Gettysburg guy, like I think I was one of two D3 guys in that room. You know what I mean? And it's, and that's awesome. Like I said, like it's for the young and up and coming big time guys, but they want to see the next young guys from our level too, not as much, but they want to see it.
Yeah.
But it's that first in, last out is right. I never heard it put so perfectly. It's just something my father taught me, my mother as well in the academic world. Like my parents, divorced when I was really young, but both, I will say, had a similar mindset of like, someone is always going to be there to try to come after what you have, whether that's like a status or, hey, you made the travel baseball team, or, hey, you have straight A's right now, like both of my parents were like, hey, there's people coming for you. If you don't outwork them, they're going to take you, and it wasn't like an evil thing. It was just that mindset from a young age. Like, if I don't work at this, somebody else will want it more. And that's how when I wake up, it's like I know there's thousands of coaches that would kill to be a head coach right now at the college level. Right. So in order, I want to respect that and honor that, make sure that I outwork. You know what I mean? The same thing when I was a coordinator and I was an intern. Like, I had a conversation with a coach the other day. He's looking to possibly jump from high school into the college ranks, right? And he's like, well, like, I got this opportunity, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, man, there's thousands of coaches right now. You went down to Nashville who don't have a job, and they would kill to have your opportunity that you're talking about here. So if you're hesitating at all, don't take it, because there's a guy that's ready to really like change his life that deserves it a little more. And again, it's not that negative. It's just that mentality's kind of been seared into my brain.
Yeah.
And I think when I communicated to my players at every stop, I think that's what's helped. We may not always be the most talented, but if we refuse to be outworked, we can do some special things. And that's what we're trying to build here at Moravian. I think year one was the first step towards it. They're starting to see the dividends.
Yeah.
And now we just got to keep stacking it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's what football provides you, whether you're coaching or you're playing. Like for me, playing at Gettysburg College, like, although we didn't really have I didn't have a great career in terms of wins, but just the lessons that you learn as a player, whether you're coaching or you're in a specific profession, you're like having that mindset of just continuous progression and being okay with failure is something that I've learned and I've taken with me into like my own endeavors post graduation.
No
So
doubt.
I 100% agree with that sentiment. So
Well, it's funny too, like to your point, like I went to school for teaching, right? Like education, and I was a history major, right? But I did my secondary ed cert and my thesis work, all that. They talk about it all the time. It's that, growth mindset. Like that was in teaching, right? And at the
yeah,
time, when you're a football player, sometimes you don't think about it, but then you realize once you start learning about the science behind that, it's literally what football is, and all your coaches are trying to get you to do. And now, how do you apply it afterwards?
yeah,
That's the guy, like you're doing it right here, man. Like you guys started this thing from scratch, right? And now look what it's become. You have a
yeah,
platform. You have, not only that, but now a Rolodex of people that you can communicate with, and not only say, hey, I can help you win some ball games and help you become a better coach, but now to spread that message. So it's all about there's been failure, right? There's been stuff that didn't work. Yeah, there's been a blitz I've drawn up that didn't get home. It's
yeah.
always going to be the way, but being able to say, I'm never done learning. I'm never done being that student, right? It's that always be the student mindset. Like you said, man, that's how you get it done.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really draws it all together is, you have to focus on the process, not the outcome. And if you're focused on having that mindset of learning from your failures and just growing, nothing's really a failure. It's just a learning experience.
Oh
And
yeah.
and the best people out there, look at Saban, look at Belichick. Those guys continuously learn throughout their career. Look where they ended up: 7 national championships, 6 Super Bowls. So yeah, I
100%.
mean, it really is true. So great. Any last words of advice, Coach, you'd want to share with the audience?
I think the biggest thing, like I said, still a little young. Sometimes I feel like to give advice, and like you said, and I appreciate you, asking. I think the biggest thing for me, and I tell the young guys that I have on staff and guys that I communicate with, is you got to be willing to outwork people, right? Number one, like if that's a question for you, then that this game it won't be forgiving. You know what I mean? Two, if you don't naturally satisfy like your curiosity every day, take 30 minutes to study something that you're genuinely interested in. Okay. Whether that's reading a personal book, whether it's outside of football, that for me, I felt was really stimulating, even in my days when I was the young coach, was doing it like crazy hours, which we still do, we can't help it, but 30 minutes a day for yourself up here, even just a book, a passage, some guys do, Bible study in the morning. I sometimes would read fiction, just 30 minutes just to get your not just your football curiosity, just get your brain going. That was one thing that I felt helped me stay sharp. And then the last thing at the end of the day is just, never be satisfied with what you think, I learned something new every day. Even the years being at John Carroll, I got to see, and I was blessed that someone let me kind of run the program with them and help them learn those head coach things. And then when I got here, you realize like, hey, there were some things I was really familiar with, right, and ready to go. And then there's some things like, wow, didn't think of that. Didn't think that would happen in the first month. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you can write it down in a manual all you want. You be like, oh, hey, I'll be ready for this. But that's the basic. Just never be satisfied. Always be willing to learn, willing to listen, and it'll take you, wherever you need to go for sure.
Well, Coach, thank you again for being on the podcast today. Really appreciate you sharing.
No
And
doubt.
and yeah, thanks again.
Justin, man, appreciate you, man. You guys do some great stuff, and I appreciate you spreading the word, man. It's awesome to get a platform for yourself and keep building this D3 game, man. So I appreciate you.